So guys, one fact we cannot all deny is that digital gaming has become a major component of our culture. The vast majority of people in the UK, Europe, and the US, regardless of age or gender, partake in gaming regularly. Nevertheless, it wasn't until recently that creators of video games began consistently offering features specifically tailored to individuals with impairments. Should this mean the future of gaming is getting more accessible? First of all, what does it even mean for a digital game to be accessible? There is no one-size-fits-all answer to the question of what it means for a digital game to be accessible. However, we can think about accessibility in terms of three key dimensions: functionality, user interface, and content. Functionality refers to the basic ability of the game to be played and enjoyed by as many people as possible. This includes ensuring that the game can be played on a wider range of devices and platforms, and that it is compatible with assistive technologies such as screen readers. User interface accessibility refers to the design of the game's interface and menus, making sure that they can be used effectively by all players regardless of their level of ability. This includes making sure that text is legible and buttons are big enough to be easily pressed, as well as providing alternative control schemes for those who cannot use a traditional input device. Content accessibility relates to how the game's content is presented. This includes ensuring that important information is not conveyed solely through visual means, but also through audio and/or text. It also includes making sure that any potentially triggering or offensive content is appropriately flagged and/or offering players the option to avoid it altogether. So with that being said, are the claims around Ragnarök anything more than window dressing, attempting to set itself apart in a highly competitive market? For once, Ragnarök is a combo combat game, requiring players as the god killer Kratos to progress through a sequence of levels by defeating adversaries through fast-paced combat that typically involves quickly pressing buttons and precisely controlling the characters and camera's movement. It is easy to understand how persons with physical handicaps such as hand tremors or visual troubles might find it almost impossible to proceed. In certain situations, access issues can be compounded, as up to 2/3 of gamers who report having a disability have multiple impairments. It should not be allowed for these to stop someone from playing digital games, but it is essential to devise a solution that reconciles the disparity between a player's capacity and the game's design.
Reyes, you are getting better, faster.
I'd even be better than you one day, huh?
If you are not, I have failed.
So what should digital game developers do in this respect? The research into player experience has shifted the focus of accessibility to providing the best user experience for players from all backgrounds. To get there, one has to guarantee that players can access the game feedback loop. This implies that they can interact with the game, sense the results of their actions, and understand the response of the game. Additionally, game challenges should be balanced for the average player, not relying on certain qualities such as quick reflexes or excellent eyesight. When these elements of accessibility are present, users can enjoy what we term as accessible player experience. For a game to be deemed accessible, it should give users a selection of options in terms of controls, display, and gameplay, allowing those with disabilities to tailor the game to their needs to get the best experience possible. Ragnarök provides customization options for an extensive range of elements of the game and its interface, from increasing the font size of the in-game text to establishing automatic movement control so players don't have to manually input commands for climbing, jumping, and running. This builds upon the accessibility of other popular titles, such as The Last of Us 2, 2020. Additionally, Ragnarök has created unique clusters of option settings, allowing for even more customized experiences. Are developers likely to experience any challenges from this proposal? A foremost concern for video game developers looking to create a more accessible experience is to anticipate the various and sometimes special requirements of their players, while still keeping their artistic vision intact. To improve the development process and make it easier to produce an enjoyable game, our analysis has taken the approach of thinking of accessibility as a matter of arrangement. Using concepts from the fields of architecture and computer engineering, we understand that although some settings may be exclusive to a certain game, the types of settings necessary for a more accessible experience are generally categorized into distinct patterns. When gamers are unable to progress due to an imbalance between their abilities and the difficulty of the game, they may require a helping hand from the game itself. How this is presented can vary, from an assist mode for aiming or navigating to a virtual character offering helpful advice. A collaboration with Able Gamers charity can help see these patterns implemented in an accessible player experiences design deck, which is now available to hundreds of game developers. Do all these mean a bright future for gaming accessibility? There is no doubt that the gaming industry has come a long way in recent years in terms of making games more accessible to a wider audience. With the advent of mobile gaming and the popularity of casual games, it is clear that there is growing demand for games that can be enjoyed by everyone, regardless of ability or experience. However, there are still some barriers to entry when it comes to accessibility in gaming. For example, many mainstream games are still designed with only able-bodied gamers in mind, which can make them difficult or impossible for those with disabilities to play. There are also few options for gamers who are deaf or hard of hearing. Despite these challenges, there are reasons to be optimistic about the future of accessible gaming. For one thing, the industry is becoming increasingly aware of the need for diversity and inclusion, and is starting to design games with a wider range of players in mind. In addition, new technologies such as virtual reality and augmented reality offer immense potential for making gaming more accessible for everyone. So while there are still some challenges to be addressed, the future looks bright for accessible gaming. With increasing awareness and advances in technology, we can expect to see more and more games that everyone can enjoy regardless of ability or experience. By increasing the accessibility of a game, people with disabilities have the potential to experience a major part of popular culture that is not possible in any other activity. It enables them to be on the same terms as their peers who do not have a disability. When games are made more accessible, players report they feel empowered. Ragnarök has gone a long way in improving accessibility, and has even come up with advancements that it hopes other games would adopt if they are deemed beneficial. Although players may be the only ones who can say it's successful for everyone, accessible gaming is aimed to provide the biggest population possible with the opportunity to take up the Leviathan axe and be a god. This is done by making video games more accessible to a wider range of people, including those with disabilities. For example, developers are creating games that can be played by people with visual impairments by using audio cues instead of visuals. They are also making games that can be enjoyed by people with hearing impairments by providing subtitles or closed captioning. By doing this, they are hoping to create an inclusive gaming community where everyone can enjoy playing video games, regardless of their ability. So what's our bottom line? In simple terms, what we're saying is that accessible gaming has always been about providing the biggest population possible with the opportunity to game. This is usually done by making games that are easy to learn and pick up, and by providing extensive tutorials and support materials. However, some games go beyond this basic level of accessibility and aim to provide an even more inclusive experience. One example of this is the game Everybody's Golf. This game was designed specifically with accessibility in mind, and features several features that make it easy for anyone to pick up and play. For instance, the game features an auto shot system, which means players don't have to worry about timing their shots perfectly. It also has a wide variety of assistive technologies built in, such as text-to-speech and visual aids. These features make the game much more accessible for players with different types of disabilities. Another example of an accessible game is Minecraft. This hugely popular game can be played in several different ways, making it accessible to a wide range of players. For instance, players can choose to play in survival mode, where they have to gather resources and build a shelter to survive, or they can opt for creative mode, where they can build whatever they want without any restrictions. This flexibility makes Minecraft one of the most accessible games out there. These are just two examples of games that have been designed with accessibility in mind. There are many other games out there that offer similar experiences.
Sometimes luck alone is enough. Just ask your father.
My success does not come from luck.
Ah, the refrain of the eternally lucky.
Anyways guys, we'd love to hear your thoughts on some of these proposals by Ragnarök, and your view on some of these challenges highlighted, as well as possible solutions on how developers can avoid them. Do these proposals imply any bright future for accessible gaming? Also, feel free to share your thoughts on how gaming can be improved going forward. And lastly, remember to subscribe and like our content for more like these. Cheers and see you next time!